Welcome to Build Stuff. BS features products and processes used in the crafting of custom motorcycles. BS also highlights builders' projects to share ideas and inspire others. Build Stuff episodes aren't scheduled, so don't forget to subscribe to Speed and Color, then turn on notifications so you don't miss any BS.
Well, here we are. We have the XS650 hardtail kit on the Yamaha frame. XS650 hardtail from SNS Customs. Really happy I went with this one. I do have to tell you, I'm a little bit disappointed. Certainly not disappointed in Sean. Sean's an awesome guy. And I wish Sean all the best, and I really, really hope we're going to see him back as SNS Customs again. Sean's non-stock customs one of these days. But, you know, good for Sean. God bless him. He obviously got a contract that was lucrative enough that he couldn't pass it up. Don't know all the details yet. Looking forward to finding out what he's doing. But he's doing some aluminum welding, you know, that we know so far. And like I say, the contract was obviously good enough that he just couldn't pass it up. So, unfortunately, Sean has, for now, closed the doors for SNS Customs. And like I say, he's certainly not saying, well, I might be back or anything like that. That is totally Bruce being absolutely 100% selfish. I would love to see the guy back. Canadian manufacturer, great product, innovative, good. I just you know, I like I say, I'm so disappointed that Sean closed the doors, but I also understand that there's just no more time given the contract that he's taken on between that family, kid playing hockey, building a motorcycle for his son. All of those things, there just isn't enough time to do it. So, Sean, all the best on your side, man. We're in your camp. May life bring you nothing but wonderful things. In the meantime, I'm just happy that I got one of the last SNS Customs hardtail kits for an XS650. I'm happy about that. That's a good thing. On to the kit. Let's talk about this thing. So, Yamaha frame, all modified. I've made extra modifications. We'll see how that's going to work out. The kit, the hardtail ties into the frame on the lower frame rails here and up at the backbone. As I've said previously, really happy to get rid of these ugly, I don't know what they are, reinforcements, whatever they were here. More than happy to get rid of those and have the hardtail go directly onto the backbone at this curve in the backbone. That's a really, really good thing. The backbone comes down. Difference between Sean's kit and some of the other kits out there is a lot of them use a tube here and the backbone ties in, and it's okay. It works fine, and I'm not criticizing those other kits, but I like the way Sean did his with this flat plate, very substantial, drilled. Actually, I don't know if this is drilled or plasma cut or however Sean does it, but this hole cut out. And what you get with Sean's kit is you get this adapter. And this is kind of nice. This end slides up into the factory, the Yamaha tube. And this large piece down here sits in the hole that Sean provides in this plate. So I'll just sneak this in. Hopefully you can see this. I might have to do a second shot of this. But this fits in here and now gets welded to this base plate and to the backbone. Very substantial piece, real nice, provides a nice finished look when it's done. I will tell you, so what I've done, again, I mentioned this before in another video, that what we did was took a motor that had some issues and we gutted it to make a, what would you call this, you know, on the jig, to make a motor that we could easily lift in and out of the frame, but holds all of our mounting points in the right places. Keeps the backbone aligned. Again, when I cut this tube, there was quite a, kind of like a spring noise, and that tube shifted when I cut it. So it was obviously under tension from the factory, had some stress on it. Not an issue, but when you cut it, now the thing is going to move. By using this motor, engine I should probably say, by using this engine to align all the mounting points, now this tube should be in the right position. So that's a good thing. It should be, you know, straight on and is real good with this plate. So that tells me that everything is pretty much lined up here. So using this engine is a really good idea. Sean agreed with this, that it would work out well. I am going to change the mounting point for the top of the motor here. Originally there was quite a piece from Yamaha that sat in here that was all welded to the backbone, had another piece coming out here. I've done away with that. What I'm going to do is just one simple tab at the back here to tie into this rear mounting point. I think I'm just going to leave the front one open. I like the way it looks. I like that open look. The gas tank sits on the backbone and leaves quite a bit of visibility here. And I think strength-wise, if this bolt is tied into a tab that is welded onto the backbone here, really, you know, this all being tied together should give it a lot of strength. I don't know that I need two mounting points. I think the one is probably going to be fine. So that's what we're going to do there. What I was going to say is at the bottom here, so alignment-wise with the hardtail kit, alignment at this point is real good. This is fine, and there's probably quite a bit of tolerance here. Everything's tied together with the motor mounts. This backbone, when I put this piece in, this piece is possibly a little bit further forward at the bottom than I would like it to be, but everything aligns. And that's, you know, that's where I think there's some trade-off here. Sean gave me a measurement for these tubes as to where to cut them, and he said, I'm giving you, it was either half or three quarters of an inch of extra length so that you can trim it and adjust it as you go. I cut it to that measurement that he gave me. If anything, I'm a little bit short rather than too long. That tells me, you know, difference in frames, the frame that Sean uses on his jig versus this frame, minor differences, all that kind of stuff. And the fact that we're dealing with, you know, 45-plus-year-old frames, it worked out that this is going to be fine just like this. Again, I certainly wouldn't want to move it any further forward because that's going to make the alignment of this piece worse than it is now, and It's not terrible now, but I'm a pretty fussy guy, and I wish it was just back a couple degrees. But I don't want to pull the frame any further back, the hardtail, I should say. I don't want to pull it any further back because I really like the angle here to the backbone. The backbone does have a little more incline than the hardtail does. I'm okay with it. It's very close to being straight. To change that, to get this to match the backbone exactly, would mean that I'd have to go further forward on the frame rails. And again, if I do that, then I'm going to make this situation worse. I'm also going to, right now, this is nice and straight. If I push this in further, now I'm pulling the axle down because this point still has to line up. So I think this is probably a lot of trade-offs. There's probably a lot of things going on. At the back, I won't turn my back to you there. I'll just get up here. At the back with the axle, with everything anchored down right now, I take a measurement from a couple different points that should be good references, especially these motor mount bolts. I take a measurement from here to the axle on each side, and that axle right now appears to be about a 1/16 out side to side. A 1/16 out side to side, I don't think is an issue. I think we're absolutely fine. So it's square. The rear axle is good. This angle, it's a little bit more than I'd like, but I can certainly live with it. This point is good. Everything seems to be in pretty good shape. So, like I say, I think it's probably a little bit of an issue of trade-offs, matter of trade-offs. So I have Tim coming to weld this in for me. I love to do my own stuff. I try and do as much on my own as I possibly can. Again, I've mentioned this before, that I've been diagnosed with essential tremors. My hands are not as steady as they were when I was younger. I shake because of the tremors, and I don't want to screw up this welding. This is too important. You know, welding a tab on where if I screw it up, I can knock it off, do another one, whatever. Yeah, okay, I'll fart around with that stuff. And you know, if a turn signal falls off the bike, is that the end of the world? Well, probably not. I can probably fix that at some point. But these welds, to me, are critical. These need to be done right. So I've asked Tim to come in and do these for me. Tim's a very talented welder. Works at Precision Frameworks. I don't think Brent would mind me mentioning that. So Brent and I came to terms on it, and Tim agreed that he'd be happy to come and do it in my shop here, because I didn't want to have to move this whole thing down to Precision to get it done. So we've worked out an arrangement. I think it's going to be okay, and Tim is going to weld this in for me, and then we'll be off and running. So we should have this thing on wheels, within a week or so here, maybe a little bit less. Everything is good, very happy. Another thing I wanted to talk about was, Sean made a point in the episode we did with him, the Speed and Color episode. He made a point to mention that he wasn't real big on grinding welds. He wasn't a fan of grinding welds. I will say Sean's welds are so good. They are. His TIG welding is absolutely beautiful. His welds are so good. I can only find maybe a couple places where I would just hit the top of a weld to allow me to mold it in. Beautiful, beautiful welds. I even hate to cover them up with filler. It's going to depend on the look I want to go with. you know, if you're going to fill welds on the front part of the bike, how do you not fill them on the back? But his welds are like art. I would love to leave them visible for people to see. But it's, you know, if I'm going to fill up there, I really need to fill everything. So filler minimal on Sean's welds. I totally understand why he wouldn't want to grind on these welds. That's a very different thing from the factory welds, and I'm going to say on Japanese motorcycles. It's not just Yamahas, Hondas, they're all the same. I'll take a couple shots of the other frame that I have here, but you know, sometimes those factory welds are just huge. They put so much welding material on there, and I don't think a guy has a choice but to grind it down. That stuff that sticks up above the surface, you know, 3/16 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, there, as what I've been taught is, there's really no strength in that material that's way up above the surface. The strength is in the filler material between the two pieces. That's where your strength is. And again, when Sean talks about not grinding his welds, yeah, that's where all of this weld is. It's down between the two pieces and levels the surface of the two pieces. These Japanese factory welds, man, they are so far above the surface of the pieces being connected. I just don't believe there's any strength up there. Now, I've ground lots of frames, factory welds down. I have never experienced a crack. Obviously, the welds are functionally, they're fine. Cosmetically, they look like shit. So I like to grind down those factory welds. And like I say, in this case, I have ground them down. I'm going to smooth them with filler. I hate to hide Sean's welds, but I'm probably going to put a wipe of filler on here to smooth it out. That way when I paint it, you've got that nice smooth look. I think it'll be just fine. So that's my intention there, and that's all I wanted to say about Sean's welds is they are friggin' art, and I would love for everybody to see them, but I also have to keep consistency in the bike. I can't have this smooth and weld showing here. I don't think it works. There you go. I'm waiting for Tim. We'll get Tim in here. I'll see if he'll let me shoot a little footage of him welding and stuff. This whole thing has come together really, really nice. Oh, another piece I wanted to show you, and I'm doing my seat mount on this piece, so this will all make more sense here in a bit. But this cover piece is something that Sean also does with his hardtail kits, and it fits right in here and covers up most of this connection. So I'm going to have Tim put this in place as well and weld this in. This will really tidy this area up nicely. Makes it a little bit of a pain in the ass to paint underneath here. You want to make sure you get good primer in there, good, you know, rust prevention, corrosion prevention. So I hate making areas that are difficult for me to paint. However, in this case, I think it's worth doing. The whole seat mount is all going to be a bolt-on, so I am going to be able to have it chrome plated, and that way I don't have paint chipping issues on the mounting hardware. Yeah, so like to avoid the paint chipping, but this painted, obviously if it's welded, this will be painted with the frame, and that's how it's going to look. So real nice piece there, really well. I'll put it right side up. You know, nicely fit to the tubes. Everything is good. Really, really good stuff. And the sprocket that comes with this kit, we'll deal with that when I show you the wheels when we get this thing rolling. But certainly everything that Sean told me about his SNS kit, he was absolutely right. It's beautiful. I love it, and I'm really happy that I went this way. Here we are. Tim was over yesterday, spent a few hours here, and did the welding on the hardtail on the XS650 for me. Super job. Guy's so talented, just really, really impressed. He did a great job. There were a couple things that we had to pull into shape, even with the motor in here holding everything in place. We needed to kind of pull this backbone over a little bit. Tim wasn't super happy with the center line. Real good now, though. It was about 1/8 of an inch that we needed to move it. So that got moved. The welding is beautiful. The TIG work is fantastic. Very, very happy that way. Got the motor out. Now I can finish up, do some grinding. Seat mount is in place. I'll show more of this to you once I get it set up, but this is going to work real nice. This plate in here, this one tube on this side, we had to kind of pull it up a little bit. Don't know why, maybe just from the heat of welding back here when Sean did it. This tube seemed to be dropped just a bit. Real simple low pry bar, just jacked it up a bit, and it's bang on now. So everything's real good there. I've got Alfred on his way over. Alfred's excited. We are going to get this thing off the jig, put some wheels on it. Don't know if we're going to put the motor in it right away here or not, the mock-up one anyway. But we'll see. We got a ton of stuff to do. Now we can get the Springer front end on it, get a look at what this thing is going to look like, see where we're going to go with it. Yeah, it should be fantastic. So that's where we're at. I'm going to take a little video of some of Tim's areas here where he welded and stuff to show you how that came together. Geez, we might even get a gas tank sitting on here pretty quick too. That'd be cool. Anyway, all coming together. Super happy with what Tim did. We'll talk to you soon.